One-on-one, never lost. Went to the finals, never lost.
You never got there, LeBron.
Who?
You.
I've been a one-on-one champion. Never lost one-on-one.
All right.
Yeah. What up? Me and Pimp about to do it for the city.
Back at it again, so you got Spencer, you know what time it is. The Spencer Company Productions. Got the one and only Longview's own Jon M. Writt is in the building. Coach Writt joined us the second time he's been on the pod. First time about 6 years ago, so a lot has happened in the time since we've talked last. But, you know, say what's up to these people one time.
Man, yeah, it's, good to be back here, man. Shoot, I did a podcast 5-6 years ago. I guess I didn't do a good job because, man, it's been a while since I've been on here, but it's good to be back.
Nah, man, I guess you didn't. I ain't call you back no more. I guess that's what that means. Right? Nah, man. Obviously, we're here for, you're leaving Longview. You've made that public. You've announced it on social media. A great response. One of the biggest responses that I've ever seen, probably on a post, and I'm not trying to boost or anything. But that just shows how well loved you are and how well respected you are, and for the job that you've done here at Longview over the past 8 years. I've got a chance to see it, from varsity as a coach with you for the last 3, and I get to see it day in, day out that you do with the kids. So all the love is well deserved for the work that you do on a consistent and day-to-day basis. I think before I let you get on here and talk, I just want to, give you your flowers or whatever. I think you're the coach that showed me that it's about the day-to-day, that it's not just about the product on a Friday, that you have to establish a good relationship with your players in order to get the most out of them. And I saw that, uphand and personal, just us being cool like we are, and then just, seeing the receivers at your house and seeing, speaking to them through the text thread and just being a part of their daily life, man. You're the coach that really opened my eyes. Like, hey, you got to get in contact with these guys in order to get the most out of them. And so I wanted to give you those flowers publicly. But yeah, man, get on here and talk, man. Get a new offensive coordinator at Yates High School. Head coach Raphael Thomas from Lufkin, who's been on the pod, friend of the show. Y'all two are linking up down there in Houston, man. Tell us about how it came about, and how excited you are for this opportunity.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Appreciate those good words. It's just to hit on what you were kind of talking about first. Just kind of high on with the kids. Being a hometown kid. This is a place that I love. It's never easy. Leaving a place like this, leaving a program like this, and then just leaving home. And I have had other opportunities to leave here. In the past couple of years, which we can get into a little bit later. But it was like you kind of talked about the announcement. That was something that I think the part that I dreaded the most was having to get up there in front of those kids and tell them that I was leaving, and that was probably the part that I dreaded the most. And I remember when I first told Coach King that I was going to take the job, he told me that I was going to have a knot in my stomach, until I did that. So. I definitely did, and I think it was 2 days. I told him like on a Tuesday, and I think I told the kids on a Thursday. And for those 2 days, I definitely had a knot in my stomach because I knew I had to tell them something that I that I didn't want to tell them. It's almost like some news that you got to tell somebody, but you really don't want to tell them. So, but it definitely was. I was definitely relieved after I told them, and everything was kind of cool after that. I know you kind of talked about the Facebook announcement. I had kind of started hearing it. A couple of people asked me I haven't been leaving because I knew once the kids found out, it was going to kind of spread a little bit. So I thought that was necessary to go ahead and put that out there. And then I know people was going to also show up to spring ball this week and see me not with the receivers, so that was going to raise more questions. So I kind of want to do it, before spring ball. But new offensive coordinator position at Jack Yates. Joining my good friend and former teammate Ralph Thomas. Last summer Ralph he got this job. Late June, something of that nature, and something that we had kind of always talked about. Because we got a coaching circle. outside of Longview, you know, some guys that I just been knowing for years, whether it was from college or just, you know, just established friendships. And, you know, one thing we always talked about was, you know, being able to get in leadership positions and hire each other. And, you know, when he got that head coaching job last year, you know, it was, and I kind of thought to myself, you know, that might be something that I want to, you know, revisit down the road. And so, you know, after the season was over, you know, Ralph had, you know, he still hadn't hired an offensive coordinator. And, you know, we ended up, you know, we kind of talked about it, you know, flirted with it. And, you know, he officially offered me the job, you know, sometime halfway through the semester. And I remember after spring break, you know, over spring break, my wife and I kind of, you know, we kind of talked about it and, you know, kind of thought about, was that going to be a good move for us moving forward? And so, you know, that's when I came back and told Coach King that, you know, that the job had been offered to me. So then I ended up planning a visit to go down and, you know, visit the school because, you know, that's always important to go down and see what it's about. And, you know, I went down, visited, you know, everything checked off. You know, thought it would be a good opportunity for me. And, you know, thought about it over the weekend and I ended up feeling like it was going to be the move. So that's kind of how we got to where we're at now.
Yeah, so we're here now. You probably got another 2 weeks with us with spring ball, and then after that, you know, it's the summer. You take off. How early you think you're gonna get down there and start getting to work?
I'm gonna get down there the first week in June. You know, right now we're in the process of trying to, you know, get our house sold here. Trying to find a spot to live there. You know, my wife has to, of course, transfer her job, and so we're just kind of doing those things right now. But I'm definitely gonna be down there the first week in June. You know, so we can start going to workouts and, you know, implement the offense.
All right, man. Let's take these people back. Last time we talked was 2017. That was 6 years ago. Obviously, things have changed in the past 6 years. As far as, you know, you personally, you as a coach, some big time accomplishments. Let's go through. Let's give these Lobo fans, you know, some good memories right here. Let's go through some good memories since the last time we talked in 2017. So 2017, this is after sophomore year. Haynes, this is junior year 2018. Obviously, the greatest year in Lobo football history. Man, just, you know, give us some quick hits on that and how fun was that season, and then obviously we can get into talking about that GOAT that you coached that year too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So I know just to hit on 17. You know, that was 17 was a great year for Lobo football, and, you know, starting the year off, you know, it didn't seem like it. You know, everybody was real high on that 2019 class, and a lot of them were taking on starter roles as juniors that year. And then, of course, you had sophomore Haynes, you know, coming into the fold. So, I mean, it was a fun year. You know, I had some guys. I remember I coached some guys that year. You had like Jacob Johnson. Of course, you had junior year Kamden Perry, which Kamden had started as a sophomore. I had a Darius Carter who kind of emerged late as a, you know, ended up being one of the top receivers that I've coached, to be honest. And then Kendall Johnson backed him up. So, you know, we had some good depth, and, you know, we started off the year. AC was still in the quarterback battle, so we had Jacob and Kamden starting, and, you know, eventually Jacob got rolled up in the game, and he ended up hurting his ankle, having season-ending ankle surgery. So we lose him, and then AC's, you know, he had started working receiver, but by this time he was full-time receiver. So he came in working by this time it's him and Kamden at X. Him and Kamden starting at X and Z. So, you know, we moved to that season, and I have to say my favorite moment from 17, you know, of course, probably the fourth round Lufkin game. Yeah. Obviously, my receivers played we played a really good game. AC scored once, Kamden scored twice. AC actually scored twice too, but one of them got called back. Yeah. But nonetheless, we had we put on a great show in the fourth round, and probably the biggest game of the year up until that point. And then Kamden made, you know, arguably the greatest catch in school history. You know, being the circumstances, the catch that he made, and
I don't know if there's another catch that I can't even think of to argue it.
Man, to be honest,
Jalen's catches were fantastic, and they're better catches. Don't get me wrong, but as far as the moment, the scenery, we in Nacogdoches, we playing Lufkin, we bringing it back. for all the, it's Longview, it's purple and green, man. It's that was one of the most fun times of my life too,
Yeah,
man. So
sure.
that was insane. I don't think there's another catch, that can top that. I mean, I know there's better ones. Jalen has better ones, and we'll get to him when we get to him. But man, I think that's one of the greatest moments ever. Not to cut you off, bro.
Yeah. Now I was saying that you had some really good points, but I was saying that I still watch that. I'll still watch that play, and with the audio turned on, and it'll give you chills every time because the way the crowd reacted was like it was electric. But that we ended up making it to the 5th round, and to be honest, that was an overachievement year. And not saying that we always go into a season want to play 16 games, but. You know when you really have a chance and when you don't.
You tell the truth about yourself.
That was overachieving year. We made it to the 5th round, and really had a chance to make it that game. But if you was at that game, you saw what happened. But although coming into 18, we had a lot of those guys coming back, and one thing that I always did, in the off season with my receivers is we do Tuesdays and Thursdays. Or just put in extra work in the morning. Whether that's drills, footwork, ball machine, just anything that we can do to better ourselves. And Kamden Perry, was someone that just bought into the process from the beginning. He was hungry. He was always the hardest worker. If Kamden wasn't doing extra work with me, he was at the field, by himself or with his friends. Kamden pretty much lived at the field throughout his high school career. So, we get to 18 and we have all the expectations and. We're number 1 in the state, and everything starts clicking. And the offense, that was a fun offense to be a part of. And I just know that that year I grew a lot as a coach, just and even as an offensive mind because that was we were able to open up the playbook and do some things that we hadn't been able to do on offense. Having Haynes and then the running backs and then the receivers that we had. Kamden Perry started at Z.
Can we do a quick sidebar and come back and pick up right before we go through the state run in 18, we'll pick up right there. But can we talk about the evolution of the offense from where we started in 2015 when our first year on Longview staff together, what we did in 2015 and then how it has evolved to what we did in 2022. Like talk about because a lot of people always say we do the same old thing, and I know that I'm not really trying to really explain to you some of y'all, but explain to them anyway. Just how much have we evolved from 2015, just from when we were there? Because we could go write books about how we evolved since 2000. But from 2015 on, from Michael Ross on, just how much have we evolved?
And it's funny that you say that because me and you, we being from the hometown, you get to hear a lot of the BS that people have to say. And one thing that you always hear is our offense is so basic. And anyone that, first of all, if you know football, or if you're a defensive coordinator that game plans against us, this offense is not basic
at all.
And just to kind of get in that real quick, we run a lot of schemes. Dive option, you can get some veer option, you can get inside zone, you get outside zone, you may get some gap scheme, you're gonna get play action, you're gonna get a lot of different formations, a lot of different personnel groupings. RPOs.
You better find a way to match up to it.
You're gonna get some of everything, but I think people don't understand. And just to kind of hit on your question is the reason why the offense has evolved from 15 to now is because one, offense has evolved, and number two, the personnel that we had throughout those years, we did what was what catered to that personnel and what made them good.
Right.
So I think about my first year in 15 when I first come in, these are the biggest linemen that I've ever seen in life.
Greatest offensive line.
It is, and we talked about that many times. Hands down, in my opinion, I ain't gonna say hands down, but it's definitely it's definitely the greatest line in Longview history. And I would literally I remember watching a film with Coach Favara, and we would literally crease people. You can put 8 people in the box, 9 people in the box, you're finna get creased.
The size was crazy. It wasn't height. Height wasn't crazy, but just the weight and the bulk of what we had. And then you look at the tight ends we had.
The tight ends, man. The tight ends were.
We could put 9 people out there on the field that could all line up and whoop your ass, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, but you take that year, we were a juggernaut running the ball, and that's the reason why we were so successful and made it as far as we was. But Michael Ross was a really good quarterback. Really accurate, really smart kid. He didn't have
So you hear somebody else say it.
He didn't have the best group of receivers, or as good of receivers that some of the other quarterbacks might have had, in the later years. But Michael Ross was really smart, and he was just really accurate. And I watched it every day in practice. But you take that year, we were more of more of a running team, and that's what you was gonna get. I mean, you know it's coming, but you still got to stop it. And then you move to 16. We still had a lot of those linemen back. Along we had some juniors in 15 that were big as well. So we were still big in 16, but kind of the same makeup of 15 team. Besides the fact that we probably had, we were a little more athletic at receiver that year. But we kind of started to dabble with the spread a little bit, do a little more things. Galen Wilder was a quarterback. But still, strength of the team was running. Then you come in a 17, and you're in a quarterback battle. And, halfway through the season.
A three-way quarterback battle.
Yeah, three-way quarterback battle. Jordan Lawson, Haynes King, and AC Carter, which were all quarterbacks who would have started on other years.
If those guys weren't on the roster, it was hands down.
Yeah, but anyways, Haynes takes over, and, we have Kamden, who started for a year now. You have Jacob, you have AC, who ended up getting moved to receiver, and, we were able to throw it around a little more. And then what a lot of people don't forget about that offense is we had Jaylen Brown, who was the best receiver we had that year, right. To be honest.
The best tight end in the country.
But you get Haynes, who's he's a little more football smart, more of a true quarterback, a guy that can throw it, and we started to dabble with a little more spread, a little more RPOs, just throwing a little more. Became a little more balanced, and the reason why is because we were, just as much of a threat to run it as we were to throw it. So that's kind of how that happened. So then you get to 18, and you pretty much have everyone back. You got Jesse, you got Keelan. Like, we're loaded on offense. And that's the reason why things happen. Like, we literally only punted like 8 times between district and like fourth round of the playoffs. We punted like 8 times.
Wow.
And it was like we had like a 60-some% third down completion rate. It was crazy. If we would literally get on the field and go up and down the field on people to the ones came out. But that year, we were really balanced on offense. And Haynes, one thing that people don't give Haynes credit for was how good he was at the play action. A typical Lobo quarterback, if you can't grip the ball, you're gonna just put your hand out, which ain't the same as Haynes would literally put the football out like he's gonna hand it. And at the last minute, he pulled it away. So if you're a safety and you're keying in on that,
like you're coming, you're coming down here,
you're coming. So then on top, you got on top of that, you have Kamden Perry outside 1-on-1 with probably your best DB. But I don't remember Kamden not winning any 1-on-1 matchups that he went against that year. But
which is insane. Can we can slow it down one time and talk about Kamden? Kamden, who physically and athletically doesn't blow you away.
Right.
He's 5'11", 6-footish, uglyish in that range, right? Mm-hmm. He's kind of chunky for a receiver. He's 175 pounds. He's kind of slow for a receiver. He's a 4'7", 4'6" guy at best. Mm-hmm. But you talk about, the same things that, and it's, not being not a racial thing, anything like that. But like when you look at typical slot white receivers, Hunter Renfro, when you look at Wes Welker, those types, they're not the fastest guys straight line, but what they are is extremely quick and they know how to get separation from the DB. Right. And when you look at Kamden, that's what he was. He was a guy that could separate no matter who you had covering him. He was going to cook him. He was going to get away. And then when that football touched his hands, it was a wrap.
Right.
I think one drop really hurt his heart. The one in 17 against Midway on the sideline. Yeah. It was a tough catch because he had to keep his feet in bounds. The ball went right through his hands. It was raining. Yep. That hurt that boy's soul because if he catches that ball, we're gonna punch it in from the 2. So you can tell that he took that to heart, and that's the one thing about Kamden coming in the high school because I got to coach him on the freshman staff as a 9th grader. It's just how great his hands are. And how big his hands are for a guy that's that size.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys got mitts, security mitts. So when you talk about, that ultimate security blanket for a quarterback, the peanut butter to the jelly, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really got to see just how well those two really linked up in 2018 because the numbers are insane. We've never had a receiver lead the state in catches and receiving yards, and like he went off like to numbers that you see guys from South Lake Carroll and Allen and Lake Travis do. That's what we did in Longview. Mm-hmm. So when you shit on Kamden Perry, it's like, did you watch what happened?
Right.
It's crazy. You can't do that. So obviously you have an affection for Kamden Perry, but just had to stop on that moment and recognize the GOAT and what happened in 2018 and a really big part of why we won the game, the most yards in a state championship ever. Mm-hmm. 6A, not playing in the 5A, not playing in the 4A. 12
catches for 212 yards, touchdown.
Doing it on the biggest of stages, like he put respect on his name at this point. But anyway, go ahead. So the offense in 2018 is incredible.
Well, now that you've got on Kamden, man, I kind of got to talk about him a little bit. Kind of got to talk about that year, man, because anyone who knows me and Kamden, Kamden holds a special place in my heart, and not just because he was good, but we just had we were really close and still are. We still talk all the time, and he's like a son to me. But just such a good kid, such a hard worker. We just kind of get into 2018, man. That year was crazy, and we always, from the beginning of the year, me and Kamden sat down and we talked about his goals. And the big goal was at that time was honestly, we said we want to get 1,000 yards. That's what we wanted to do. And I don't remember what number of catches we had, but I know we wanted to get 1,000 yards because up to this point I hadn't coached a 1,000-yard receiver. So that was one of the main goals that we wrote down in the season.
In 2018, by the way.
Right. So Kamden is the season starts and he starts going off, and I can't track the exact numbers, but I know we were still had a few district games left, and he was inching up to that. Like he was finna get to 1,000 already. So once he hit 1,000, we moved it to 1,500. I was like, well, let's go for 1,500. So he ended up eclipsing that, and then I don't remember what he did in the 5th round. I know the 4th round we played Spring West for that year, and it was windy, and we didn't get to throw it as much.
Right.
But of course, he had that 200 in the state game and ended up breaking that record. But those stats he put up was crazy, and those are records that will probably never get broke here.
Oh,
87 catches, 1,864 yards, 18 touchdowns. Like that is absurd. And to think that he didn't even play the whole game a lot of times because the 18 team was blowing people out, especially in the regular season. So
which is a testament to Haynes' talent because there's a guy that comes up later. I would argue could have done the same thing had he had that opportunity.
Right.
So it won't get broken unless we got one of them guys coming up. Which shout out to the young talent. I won't say anything, but shout out to the young talent. But go ahead.
But yeah, but back to the 18 offense, and you hear people say, "Well, we only throwing the ball because Coach King's son is the quarterback." I was like, "No, we throwing the ball because Coach King's son can freaking throw."
Yeah,
and if it's a good probability like that you're gonna complete the pass when you throw it, as it is if you hand the ball off and and get positive yards, then of course you'll throw it. Like it wouldn't make any sense to have a quarterback that can't throw or receivers that aren't strong receivers.
And to defend King, he threw it with Caraway, and he threw it with Chumley. So
right.
When he's got the talent to throw it, he gonna throw it.
Right, and that's just one thing that you hear, and that was so wrong. But 18 was, and like I said, it was fun for me because we got to open up the offense more, and I kind of got to be on the inside of some different type of scheme and more RPOs, and they helped me grow as a coach, and helped me add some stuff to my toolbox that I understand and know how to coach and know why it was coached the way it was. So then you get to 19, and you got senior year Haynes, and you can pretty much do the same stuff that you did the year before, minus the talent that you had at receiver. And losing Kamden was huge.
And the talent you had up front left too.
Yeah,
that has a big part of it too. You don't have the same offensive line because the 2017 and 18, which is essentially the same line. 4 out of the 5 anyway. They aren't the hugest guys in the world, but they were a well executing unit. You know what I mean? Very efficient group. And then you go to 19, which is not that same group. We just didn't have the same talent up front. So you don't have the same talent up front. and you don't have, you lose a security blanket, which is Kamden Perry, which speaks to his greatness. So, Haynes didn't have the same, tool shed to play with. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, now that I look at it from this perspective, it's kind of like insane to think that he could do those things all over again, But anyway, back to your story. Oh, so this 2019 also has a very special freshman. So I don't know if you were getting to it, but just to remind you, this 2019 team does have a very special freshman on it. If you wanted to, steer that conversation that way.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute, but just kind of hitting on the scheme from 2019, and like I said, it was real similar to 18, besides the fact that you didn't have the same personnel doing it, and once you kind of start doing those things, those are things that you want to do more. So then you get to 2020. Then it's kind of the same thing, but like I said, different talent. You're not doing as much as what you were doing. You're not throwing it as much. I think that wasn't the strength of our team, but you could throw it because you have receivers that could catch it. Then you get to 21. 21 was real similar to 22 as far as offensive scheme wise, and then this year was a little more 2018ish, but I think one thing that we started doing over the past years is we added more option routes or kind of gave the receivers more freedom.
Right.
So we may call this play, and the receiver may have to read a safety. Middle field open, middle field closed. Are you pressed or convert your route doing this or that? Just kind of different things like that we didn't do back in the day that we kind of started doing over the last few years that kind of gave our receivers more freedom. But to go into 2019, I know what you were getting at. So yeah, Jaylen Hill comes in. He's a freshman, and all I heard about Jaylen out of high school was, out of middle school, was that he was a basketball player. And what's crazy is, I remember the summer when Jaylen was coming into his freshman year, we would, of course, the receivers and I would get work after the workouts, throwing routes and kind of doing the same stuff that we do in the morning. Release his footwork, route, just whatever it is that I want to do. Just basically getting work. And I would always say, Jaylen, come get some work with us. Come get work with us. But he'd always to go home, or just he basically didn't get to get ahead of the game before he came into high school. And I think had he knew that he was going to end up playing on varsity, because me and him end up having this conversation later, he probably would have came. He would have made it more of a point to come, but I think he didn't realize, what he was to football and what football was going to be for him at the time. But like I said, he comes into camp, and you can tell he's different. I remember the first few days we're out there in camp, and Jaylen has no gloves on. Throwback receiver. Most receivers that come into high school, like they want gloves, they need gloves. You don't see many receivers go out there and don't care if they have some gloves or not. So this is Jaylen, and he's snagging like natural pass catcher. I saw it from the jump. Kind of reminded me of when Kamden Perry first came into high school. Just real natural pass catcher. Don't make a noise when he catches it. Don't panic when the ball comes. Natural time and high point of football. And I remember one day we came out and I was throwing him high point balls, and he just went up with his left hand and just one handed it like it was easy. So we had never had a freshman on varsity, so that was kind of. It wasn't really what I was thinking, and also, it was one of those years to where we didn't have a lot of depth on varsity. So right. We had two good starters. You had Kamden and Kirby, guys who you had Kirby and Caius, which are guys that had played in 18 and had experience. And Kirby, of course, had started, but behind them it was kind of it was like who's next in the game, and Coach King, he kind of mentioned it one day. He just kind of messed with Jaylen. He was like, you just kind of, you ain't good enough to play on varsity, like something like that. And Jaylen, he was like, all right, coach, whatever. He always had that cool, calm demeanor.
Yeah.
And I remember we had the Tyler Lee scrimmage, the freshman, and Jaylen looked like
a 5-star safety is what he looked like.
He did. I remember they had that big running back. Jaylen literally came off the roof and like he tried to knock fire from him.
Nah, he took the man. He put helmet straight on the kneecap. Pow!
And I remember getting back on the bus, and Coach King sent me a text, and he was like, "Send Jaylen to my office when y'all get back." So, we got back. I told Jaylen to go see Coach King, and that's when he got the call up.
Which, I mean, just to send you former Lobo guys, like, just the scenery of this pick, like, every single freshman that was on the bus had, for some reason, had this rumor that Jaylen was going to get moved up to varsity. And so when they got off the bus, that's all they wanted to talk about. All those senior teammates, that's the only thing on the way back I heard. Jaylen finna get moved up to varsity. Jaylen finna get moved up to varsity. Oh my God, Jaylen finna get moved up to varsity. Damn. Like, that's all I heard. So, you know, when for it to be actually true, like, damn, one, how do they know about it? And then for two, for it to actually come, you know, to fruition. And, you know, me, I'm a Lobo historian. Like, I really love the program. And so that's a really big deal for a day one freshman. Because there was no, you know, it's August. That's the first week of that first scrimmage is like before the varsity even shows up.
Yeah, it was like
so it was literally the very first week of like possible football. So he's really a day one varsity guy. That was just, you know, the big deal. That's a big deal for a program like Longview that's put out Trent Williams and Vondrell and those kind of guys.
No, for sure.
So that was cool. That was a little moment right there.
No, it was, and I remember getting off the bus and walking back in. And, you know, funny that you said, you know, talking about how the kids were talking about it, and I remember Colin Sublett was walking beside Jaylen, and he was like, "Bro, you about to get moved up to varsity." And Jaylen kind of like, you know, he kind of like played it to the left, and then, you know, that ended up being the case, and you know, it was just cool, man. I remember the first day Jaylen comes into the weight room, because, you know, he looks amongst the freshmen, but then you put him with all these varsity kids, and he looks like a big, tall, lanky dude, like yeah, I remember the first day he was in the weight room and we did cleans, and if you remember Jaylen lifting weights, he looked funny at first, man. It was like clean. His cleans was funny, his squats was funny. It was all funny. But you know, he gets moved up to varsity, and it's funny, but because you knew how talented Jaylen was, you knew he was a phenom, but that man could run two routes, and really one. He could run a fade and he could run a hitch. And, you know, other than that, his routes was not very good. And, you know, that just, you know, being that, you know, Jaylen didn't go to a trainer in middle school. Like, he didn't.
Wasn't he a running back in middle school?
He played some running back. He played some quarterback. You know, that man threw it to him a few times, but he definitely wasn't a receiver. Like, he didn't know nothing about receiver, like, except how to catch it. You know, he's just an athlete. So, you know, it was cool to see him and to be a part of him, you know, growing, you know, into a route runner. And, you know, throughout high school, you know, Jaylen, we were working off season. You know, I was pretty much his trainer. You know, he didn't live in the city to where he could go see a trainer all the time. And like a lot of the top ranked kids do these days, you know, he had me. So, you know, pretty much everything that he knows about receiver, you know, pretty much came from me. And I think that was cool to just watch him grow, you know, as a receiver. And, you know, I actually tell him the things that Kamden did to be great, you know, like put in extra work. One thing about Kamden is every time I saw him, you know, he'd always be watching highlights on YouTube. Like, that's all he did was watch football highlights. And Jaylen was kind of the same way. And I don't think he necessarily just did it. You know, once he fell in love with the position and fell in love with the game, that just kind of came with it. You know, every time I see him, he'd be watching, you know, his favorite receivers on YouTube.
You know, it's when you talk about, you know, some of the best players in Longview history, they always make a really good first impression. You know, if you talk about the baby goat, you talk about Haynes, his very first pass ever, you know, a touchdown to none other than Kamden Perry.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then you get to Jaylen Hale, his first catch ever. You know, fast forward through the season, doesn't play throughout probably the first 3 or 4 games, right?
He got in against John Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we threw him a fade. It went out of bounds, but he caught it.
He caught it, but it went out of bounds.
Yeah.
So his first actual catch comes in a district game against Rockwall, who on the field on the other side is maybe one of the greatest receivers in Texas football history ever, Jackson Smith and Jigba, right. which kind of lets you know, like, the scenery of the event. Rockwall, we just had a 38-35, you know, freaking classic the year before. Jackson Smith went bananas, 299 on us. So it's like hype.
Just to stop you real quick, do you remember, and kind of go back to Kamden one time, do you remember at the end of that game when it was fourth down? Yeah. They put Kamden on, they put Jackson Smith on Kamden, like to stop him. And Kamden cooked them. Like, you can go look on Camden's tape.
It'll be on the highlights when we
Kamden cooked them for the first down. It was cool, man.
Definitely. So, and y'all know what tomorrow. Anyway, where we shoot it on Thursday, the boy's gonna be drafted by the time this thing comes out. Yep. So the guy that gets drafted in the first round last night, when you guys hear this on Friday, that guy, that's who's on the field, and out comes this scrawny ass freshman, 7-yard line. Go ahead and tell the story. You tell it better than me.
And the crazy thing about that, and Jalen can tell you this himself. Jalen was at, this is about the 5th game of the season, something like that. Yeah. And Jalen, he had been getting in. He had started getting in, here and there sparingly. He was kind of starting to learn offense and learn how to be a receiver. And following that, I told him that week we were talking. I think it might have been the night before the game. I was like, "You're gonna score tonight, Jalen." I said, "I just feel it." I said, "It's not gonna be the night that you score." And like I said, Jalen can tell you that. But we get on. I know Coach King had been ready to feed him, wanted to see how he was gonna do with it. So we get in the red zone. So I'm thinking like Coach King. So this is a good time to throw Jalen on the fade. So I sent Jalen on the field. Like, go. So Coach King looked and seen Jalen running out there, so he knew what time it was. He was like, right 97. So I'm like, okay, let's go. So I'm tuned in, and he throws. Haynes steps back. Drops Jalen a perfect ball. Like it was real close to the front pylon, and Jalen kind of like had to open his hips and adjust to it. And if you zoom in on that catch, he caught it with one hand. He caught it with one hand, like it was right hand. He brought it in. And he 1-2 on the sideline, like and got both feet, and it was elite. And then he just kind of walked off like I do this. And I remember, all his friends and his big brothers and stuff. They were super happy for him, and I was too. It was just a cool moment to see, man. I remember that like it was yesterday.
And that's the thing about Jalen. Like, you never see him. Well, I can say overreact. He's always been a very, very cool guy. There's been some times he's gotten pretty emotional in games where he's talking a whole bunch of shit out there. But for the most part, he's always been the coolest cat in the world when he makes a play. I mean, I lost my mind in the press box. I'm the one that's going bananas in the press box, throwing shit against the window, going bananas up there. But I remember that catch. And I was like, man, this is a pretty freaking cool moment, because we just saw something special from a freshman. It was insane. So a very good moment for him. Probably the highlight of his season. I think he had other plays that he made throughout the year. I caught a couple of glances for touchdowns throughout the year. I think he finished with 7 catches and 3 touchdowns off of those 7. So, nothing crazy from a statistical standpoint, but something to just get you really excited about going into his sophomore year, which, to me, the guy made astronomical jumps between. He made great jumps in this game every single year, right? But there was an astronomical jump between his freshman and sophomore year. Right. From where we saw him as a scrawny little freshman to, I'm taking the weight room serious now. Mm-hmm. And like, as a sophomore, he looked like a 5-star player. He looked like that guy as soon as he was supposed to look like that guy. You know what I'm trying to get at? His sophomore year was incredible. So just talk about the growth, and of course we got to get to the best play he made his sophomore year. Oh yeah. But go ahead and speak on the sophomore year.
So yeah, man, you're right. You go from Jalen's freshman year to his sophomore year, and I knew, Jalen had 7 catches for 3 and 3 on the touchdowns. He had like 100 and some yards as a freshman. Cause it was 200. But I knew that just off of that alone, and his little highlights that he put up, I knew offers were gonna start coming in, cause I know how offers work, But Jalen he started taking the weight room serious. This is the COVID year, so we didn't get the. I was looking for him to run track so he could get some track times out there, because I thought he had a high ceiling in track as well. And so then you get to the sophomore year, so we go home for COVID, then you get to miss all that development. No spring ball. You miss track season. So we come back in the summer. We're trying to make up for time. But fast forward to the sophomore year, Jaylen Hill, you could tell he arrived. I think the first crazy catch that he made that year was, I don't know if you remember, we played Tyler Lee, and I think I was in the box this game because I think that was when Coach Val had COVID, so I think I was in the box.
Yeah. And
we threw Jaylen a fade, and he was going against Tyler Lee. Had a cornerback that was committed to Arizona, and Jaylen went up and freaking snagged on it with one hand. I don't know how he came down with that.
Yeah.
And I remember I stood up in the box, like you said, I was going crazy, whoa, and that was crazy. But like you said, he made catch after catch, play after play, just kind of proved that he's definitely one of the top receivers in his class.
Right.
And then you fast forward to that Lancaster game. That was definitely Jaylen Hill's. I wouldn't say his coming out party, but that was his I'm him moment. I'm freaking him.
And I don't know if any other play he made in his career meets that magnitude.
Right.
He made plays, and he's got plays on plays on plays. You know what I mean, throughout his career. But for that to be the first OMG moment, for that to be the first I'm him moment,
right,
man, that was insane. Go through that. Go through that process.
Yeah. So
I'll tell my version of it too, because I'm looking at it in the press box. So go ahead.
So we're playing Lancaster, of course. It's a huge game. It's hyped up. And I remember one thing you don't do to Jaylen Hill is you don't taunt him. And I remember that week, I think some of the Lancaster kids got on social media like these kids do these days, and they were talking noise to him in his inbox. And, he didn't take that lightly. So Friday come game time, Jaylen Hill had one thing on his mind. That was kill these people.
Different.
So we run, I think we ran PZA. And Jordan throws it up. And Jalen's he has a cornerback beat, but he has to stop and come back for it. So by this time, the safety's recovered. So Jaylen goes up at the highest freaking point, and he snatches out the air. And it was that catch was freaking. It was crazy. If you seen it, it was crazy. So he snatches out the air. He comes down. The safety tries to hit him. He dips him, cuts up field, and then runs for the touchdown and drops the ball, hands out. I just did these people. It's up. And I just remember me on the sideline, I freaking I exploded. My blood boiled. That turned the kids said that turned me up. Man, I ain't gonna lie.
To another level, man. I'm looking at it in the box, and the first thing I'm thinking is pick, because Jalen's got him beat. He's separating from the guy, literally separating from the guy. Has to hit the brakes, turn around, come back and catch the ball. So I'm okay. I'm thinking we finna have to, it just looked like an interception from when the ball got thrown. Jaylen goes up, snags the ball, and while he's snagging the ball, a safety's on his hip, trying to hit him. While that safety's hit him, Jalen's got his hand on the safety, and the ball is in the left hand, like Michael Jordan on a pump fake in the 90s, where he one-hands it and takes it back and puts it back in his pocket. That's what Jaylen did. He caught it with two hands. He's getting hit. He takes one hand off of it. I literally seen the shit on Madden. I haven't seen it on any other. I didn't see it in real life before this. Catches it. His right hand is on the defender. Left hand, one hand palming the ball. He throws the defender off of him. Cuts up the field. Touches the ball. Airplanes into the end zone. Best play I've ever that's the best play I've ever seen made by a receiver. I know Kamden had the greatest moment for the magnitude of that time, but from an individual skill, bro, we ain't seen nothing like that.
Yeah.
I ain't seen nothing like that.
No, that was crazy.
That was insane.
And I remember, because I would, most of the kids, I used to do a lot of the kids highlight tapes, especially if they got a chance to get recruited. And I remember updating Jalen's highlight tape throughout his year, throughout the sophomore year. And, you want to put the best plays at the front, because when the college coach is looking at your film, they're not going to watch 8 minutes with the film. They're going to watch those first minute or two, just depending on who you are and how entertaining it is. But you want to catch their attention from the jump. So I remember after that game, I was like, that play
we know what the first play is.
It's going straight to the front.
Good Lord.
And if you turn on Jaylen Hill's sophomore tape and you look at that play from the jump, you like wow.
That sophomore tape to me is just like and like you said, that moment was I'm him, but that sophomore tape is I'm him, because it's a really good introduction to the type of player that he is and the type of player I think a future pro down there at Alabama, and just bide on this opportunity. And when he gets it, I think he's going to do the most with it.
Right.
Junior year, kind of, you still see the same type of plays. It really doesn't take off. I think Jaylen had one of the more special playoff runs. And that's what's crazy about Jaylen Hill. You talk about a clutch player.
Yeah, he goes off.
He goes off in the playoffs. Like his best plays ever happened in the playoffs. You got the Blaze throw against Arkansas, which was pretty cool or whatever. It's a good touchdown, highlight or whatever. But his best plays are made in the playoffs. That Lancaster catch sophomore year in the playoffs, and then you think about his junior year. And we go through that playoff.
He went off against Lancaster again.
He goes off against Lancaster again with that high point catch. He didn't score a touchdown on it, but that play that he makes, and I'm gonna show it on the highlight on the video anyway. That high point, that ball, tuck it, go get yards. What he did the next week against Denton Geyer in a shootout where he just
didn't run.
My bad, didn't run.
Yeah,
Longview, anyway. I still hate them bastards anyway.
Yeah.
But for Denton Ryan, when he went off 6 catches, 170 something yards, those touchdowns, the big plays, the yards after catch, like even his senior year run, you talk about the plays he makes on the playoffs. So the Lone Star game, he blows that game wide open. That was a tough game for us. Like a lot, we walked away from him at the end, but a lot of our walking away had to do with the next 2 weeks against Memorial too. Just happened to be Jaylen Hill making special plays, and I think about it. You think about what you're losing on that point. Thinking like a coach anyway, but like Jaylen he's a guaranteed 14 points a game just by being him. You know what I mean? So it's he makes his best plays in the clutch of the moments, which to me, he's the most sure thing since Vondrell McGee. Like, you talk about Longview in the program, like everybody thought when Vondrell left, it was a guaranteed thing that dude was a professional. And I haven't had a feeling like that since Jaylen, until Jaylen Hill. Now, hopefully he does better than Vondrell, as far as, and Vondrell had a great college career, a pretty good college career. It didn't end the way he wanted it to. But anyway, I'm not trying to put that voodoo on Jaylen, but I'm just saying, like, as far as, like, we just knew he was going to be it, like, Jaylen's that guy, man. We just know he's going to be it if he, does the most with his opportunity, which me and you, I know, have 100% confidence in.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Jaylen, he's a guy where, the moment's never been too big for him. He don't fret. He's super competitive. He ain't scared. And going back to the sophomore year, we played. You was talking about that Dan Ryan game, and they had a 4-star corner in Billy Bowman, as well as another 4-star corner on the other side in Austin Jordan. And these guys are watching on film, and they're showing up on film, and they're locking receivers down. And Jaylen, like, I ain't scared of him.
Yeah,
like, let's go.
First 2 opportunities in the game.
Exactly. We throw him that post. Billy Bowman's guarding him. He catches on him. And
got a pass interference on one of them.
And Jaylen immediately, if you remember catching that post, he immediately gets up and he lets him know, like, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. And then we come back a few plays later and we we throw him a fade on Billy Bowman and he catches it for a touchdown. So I'm like, man, this dude is the real deal. And you talk about, I know we're getting to the junior year. One thing that we did, from a coaching standpoint, and something that I want to do was. We moved Jaylen from X receiver to Z receiver. And, in our offense, Z's more of a, you're going to be more of in the slot. You're going to be outside too, but, you're more of a slot type. And it's something that I want to add.
The X is more of the Malcolm Kelly, the D-Rob, the guy that you want to isolate at all times because you want to see if you can catch that one-on-one matchup. Right. And while Jaylen has those same skill sets where you want him one-on-one as much as possible, in the Longview offense, it's better for the guy that can be in motion, the guy that's, always off the ball, the guy that's, the traditional number 1 receiver. You know what I mean? So, just to explain what an X is.
Right. And I knew that moving him to Z, and that's exactly where Kamden played. I knew that was good for his development because, we can still put him in those situations if we want to isolate him or get him one-on-one. But you also get to let Jaylen work in the slot, which is something that I want to add to his game. I thought that was vital for him. Whenever he got to college, I didn't want him to be labeled as an outside receiver, which he still probably is. But being able to play that Z and put that on film that you can navigate in the slot as well, because it's something that you need to do. Jaylen, especially being
and with his skill set with the yak, what I'm saying, just get him the ball.
But being in the slot, it just kind of presents a different challenge for a receiver because you got more guys trying to bang you that's not necessarily the guy that you're working on. You may have an outside backer or someone that's trying to get hands on you and reroute you, but at the same time, the safety is the one that you got to beat on the route. Right. So those are different movements and different things you got to have in your skill set that'll help you be successful. So moving him to Z as a junior, you saw him grow as a route runner and just kind of as a receiver, and he's smart at the position. Because that's when you start seeing Jalen study the game more. Like I said, I talked about earlier, how much Kamden would every time I see him around school or something, he's watching highlights. Jalen was the same thing. He's out watching someone's highlights and just studying the game, becoming a more smarter receiver. So I think moving him to Z was really vital for his growth. And then you fast forward to his senior. Senior Jalen was it was all together. He was maxed. I ain't say maxed out. He was as strong as he ever been. He was as fast as he ever been. His routes was as good as they've ever been. He's also been playing Z for 2 years, season, and he's been in this offense for 4 years. So it was real easy to him. And you go watch his highlights this year. You see him winning one-on-one routes, and you see him catching screens and taking them to the crib. I feel like this year he got to really showcase every element of his game.
Every element, and
that's something that I didn't think he got to show as a sophomore. It was spectacular catches.
I mean, you say that, but at the same time, you've got the screen against Wiley East where he went crazy on. Right. You've got you got the special play in Lancaster. You've got the post routes. You've got the Jalen, to me, and I'm just speaking from my perspective, doing these top 100 type deals. Like, to me, he's always had every element of the game. I think, he definitely, at his point, just maxed it out. Like you said, like, it's finally, you got that 99 player, and I can do what I want to.
And like I was saying, I don't think, like I said, I always knew he had it. What I said was that he didn't get to show it.
Yeah.
I said, so if you look at the film, his sophomore year was more spectacular catches, and me knowing, we've been seeing Jalen in practice. Like, he'll dip you. Like, I knew he had that in his game, and I know that's something that college coaches look for. They want a guy that can catch that screen and make some people miss, and and don't get caught. And I knew Jalen had that in him, but it wasn't necessarily evident on his highlight tape. But like I said, if you fast forward to his senior year, everything was evident. You saw him as an outside receiver. You saw him as a slot receiver. You saw him win one-on-one. You saw him make those spectacular catches. You saw him make
total
those
weapon,
catches.
Man. He's a total weapon. Like, when you can throw him the ball right now and he gives you an automatic 9, that's just as good as running it up the middle, like how we used to do it. You know what I mean? So just showing how the offense evolved, too, while we were on that topic. That's another, just having those type of personnel. When you got special people, you can evolve. Everybody ain't special. Everybody ain't Jalen. Everybody ain't Haynes. It don't happen a lot around here. For the tools that we have to play with, it's just a bunch of tough ass, undersized kids that just we've got to find the best way to get the most out of them. Right. And and you see a lot of other people that do a lot of other things that when they have special talent outside, but it's never been. We've never been an outside factor. We've never had 3 receivers that go D1 in 1 year. We've never had that before. Right. And so, we've always known what's best for us. And so, just talking about, wrapping up that evolution of the offense conversation while talking about Jaylen Hale, and just how special he was and just how our offense evolved and during his time. All, like you said, no special trainers until like later in his career, where he was like, okay, people actually reached out to him to try to, train him, and you saw that. But just like you being the guy that he listened to and the guy that he trusted, his position coach, which once again, watching you, giving you your flowers publicly, the value of a position coach, of the value of a guy that gets the most out of all his players. And that's one of the things that I pride, that makes you, and that's a part of your legacy here at Longview, until you come back and be the head coach one day and hire me as the offensive coordinator. But, until that happens, your legacy as a receiver coach is just the evolution of the game and being a guy that got the most out of every receiver. You look at John Sorey, without maybe, and that was you in your first year, but you still found a way to get the most out of a John Sorey or Chris Braggs, players that are average, you know what I mean? So just your legacy as a receivers coach, your legacy as a Longview Lobo, being a guy that I thought, when we did the top 100, I think I had you at like 39 or something like that.
Something like that.
And so you were a great safety, and you transitioned that into your professional career, being a great receivers coach. You're one of the greatest Lobos ever, man. When you talk about what you did as a career too, I think you hold a very, very special place in this community, and a guy that if I don't get it, you definitely can get it. I'm saying, the head coach of the Longview Lobos, man. Something that both of us, that's a dream. That's something that just being a hometown kid, that's a dream. Whether it comes true or not, or was it something that you really, really, really want to do, but just being a Longview guy, like there's no way you coach here and don't see yourself as the guy here, and how crazy that would be. But anyway, that's another conversation. I want to just hear your comments on your own legacy, and I know that wasn't the end game when you first got here to think about what kind of legacy, and I don't know, it may happen, but just your impact. What do you think? How do you feel about the impact that you had on kids, the impact that you had on the program, the impact that you had as a developer, as a coach? Just speak on that one time before we shift to an ending on this pod.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's crazy that you talk about that, because just kind of, talk about my whole coaching career and how we got to here. So you take me, who's fresh out of college, and honestly, I didn't go through college saying that I want to be a coach. In my mind, I was going to get a college degree, and I wanted to go make, do something that paid me a lot of money. But when you graduate, you kind of reality kind of sets in, and you kind of see how this life shit works and being an adult works. So, I found myself working at Enterprise for a little while because I wasn't certified. If anyone wants to be a coach, a lot of people want to be a coach, but they can't get certified as a teacher. But anyway, so I'm working at Enterprise, and I ended up getting certified. I ended up getting a job at Lufkin. To kind of hit on that real quick. I was literally, I had a good friend, one of my best friends, Cam. He was working at Lufkin at the time, and I'm sitting in Kilgore in my branch. And Cam calls and says, "Man, we got a freshman coaching job available." He said you need to call Coach Quick and let him know you're in the program. And I've already put in the word for you or whatever. So I called Coach Quick and I was like, "Hey man, I heard you guys got a receiver. Got a position available. I'm interested. I'm in the program. I'm not certified right now, but what can you do for me?" So Coach Quick ended up calling Coach King. And, Coach King, of course, gave me a blessing. Coach King always thought the world of me. I left here in good standing as a player. And, so gave him my blessing. So I go back to my manager, and honestly, to be honest, I wasn't even in a program at the moment. And I remember having to waste, one thing I remember about this day is I wasted $100 because I Teach Texas first. And I Teach Texas, they don't let you get certified in what you want to get certified in. I think they go off of the class you took in college type thing. Yeah. But I had to end up paying them, but Cam was like, "No, you need to do Texas teachers." So I called Texas teachers and then having to pay them another $100. Of course, to get in their program. At
this time, a college grad, them $100 hit.
Hey, hits, man. Paycheck to paycheck. I'm struggling. I'm broke. I'm like, no, I didn't But anyways, I know how important it was. So I ate that. So like I said, I ended up getting in the program the same day. But it's funny because when I told Coach Quick I was in the program, I honestly wouldn't. But I knew what my plan was. So I ended up putting so Coach Quick, he's like, when can you come down here and meet with me? So I was like, I don't know what day that was, but I can end up going the next couple of days. And I remember when I went down there, I'm prepared to do an interview, but it really wasn't even an interview. Yeah. He trusted Coach King, and his word that he said about me, and that he hired me without being certified. But of course, I had to get certified throughout the year. Right. And I ended up passing my test the first week of school because I knew that was messing with my money. So I ended up taking that test and getting it passed. But you fast forward through that year,
which is very very important, to a lot of people that's holding y'all back, man. Do what's necessary to keep your job, so you can provide. Right. Man, that's incredible. This is just a little sidebar.
And that's always, that's always been me. Anyone who's been around me can tell you that. When I set my mind to do something, it's finna get done. So,
You want me to?
no, you good.
You want me to pause or you go ahead?
When you set your moment to do something, you set your mind to do something, you're going to do whatever is necessary for it to be done. So, that year, I was a freshman coach. And, I spent that year, of course, and, coaching is kind of a natural thing, but at the same time, you still got to learn how to coach. Like, cause, it's not all about, scalding a kid or, cussing out a kid or just, praising the kid or beating them when they're dancing. It's not all about that kind of thing. You have to be able to teach. And so, you spend those kind of, I spent that year, as a freshman coach, learning how to do that. And of course, I'm in Lufkin, learning the defense, learning the offense. If you're a freshman coach, chances are you're going to coach both sides of the ball. So I remember I coached running backs on offense and I had the secondary on defense. And, in my mind, I'm fresh out of college. I played receiver 2 years for my first years at Longview, but then I got moved to secondary. So my significant varsity years were as a secondary. So then I get recruited as a safety. Mm-hmm. I go to college. The whole 5 years I was in college, or 4 years I played football. It was as a safety. So everything that I did was, as a defensive mind. So that's what I saw myself as a DB coach. So, I get through that year, I coached football, I coached basketball, freshman basketball, then I coached track also. So I got a dose of all three sports. And, it was a good experience for me. And, at the time I didn't have, which Monica and I we were together, but I had left her in Longview at the time, and that was another story. But I ended up coaching all three sports, which was a good experience for me. Like I said, I didn't have kids, I wasn't married, and I had more time. So, you fast forward to my second year. I do my first year. Most young coaches, if you're someone like me that's confident in yourself and your abilities, you're ready to be a varsity coach already. So that's kind of what I had my sights set on. And that summer, my wife ended up, she ended up getting a job transferred to Lufkin because we had found a rent house. I moved out of my apartment, and we ended up getting a rent house in Lufkin. So I remember moving out of my apartment to the rent house. We moved all her stuff from her apartment in Longview to the rent house in Lufkin. And she had got a job transferred, but she hadn't officially started yet. So I had been in this rent house for literally 5 days. And I remember Coach Ball texted me, and he asked, he's like, Longview receiver job open, right? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And I'm thinking, like, why is he texting me about this? And he's like, would you be interested in it? And I was like, yeah. And, if you know anything about coaching, by this time it's like July, and, there's like a date to get out your contract. And it was around that date. Anyways, because I'm already, like I said, I moved my wife to Lufkin. We're in a rent house. I'm thinking I'm finna do another year in Lufkin, and I'm okay with it. So 5 days later, I get this text, and then, like, a little bit after that conversation, Coach King texts me. Or he called me, we got on the phone, and he offered me the job. And, I remember the next morning, I remember my mind like going crazy. Like, man, I got all this stuff going on. Like, I just moved my wife down here, or my girlfriend at the time down here. We just got in this rent house. These people think I'm going to be here again next year. Like, he told me this job and this good opportunity. Yeah. So I remember waking up that next morning. The first thing I did was I went to my leasing office and I seen if I could get out. I went to the realtors, whatever it was. I went to their office and seeing if they would let me out my lease, without doing me bad, because you know how that stuff is.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I told myself I was sorry. I kind of got this job opportunity that I really don't want to pass up, and I thought that was good. So then I called Monica. I told her I want to take the job. I said, see if you can get out of your transfer. So she was able to do that. So that checked off box number 2. Yeah. So now I'm like, okay. So
now it's lined it up.
It's cool. We good. So then we called the apartments and we like, can we get a 2-bedroom? Because can we get a 2-bedroom down here? Because we're just gonna move back into her apartment. And I said by this time, because the first time before I moved to Lufkin, me and Monica weren't living together. But I said this time, I knew I was gonna get ready to propose soon, and I said let's do this thing together. So we ended up taking care of that. So I come back to Longview. I kind of just gave you a life story.
Which, sidebar, let me interject. I was really excited about it, because I've always been like a Lobo guy. And so like I haven't, when I was from 2003 to 2010, when I finished playing football, I didn't miss a game because my sister was a majorette. Mm-hmm. Well, she was a ninth grader in the band. My mama was going to every game. So I saw every game from 2003 on. And so, for me, I've always been like I've always loved Longview Lobo football, so I always recognize the best players. I'm on NCAA on the PlayStation 2. I made Longview as a team. I'm switching to impact players as the season goes. Like first, I was deep in the trenches. Like I remember changing the impact player from Jasmine Moon to Mark Johnson because I was like, nah, Mark Johnson really got that work. He need to be my superstar. Like that's the kind of like this is 6th, 7th grade. Like this is the kind of Lobo guy I am. Yeah. So that 2015 is my first year. I'm out of college. It's my first job. I student taught at Longview. I kind of had everything kind of went how I thought it would go. And I remember Booker being on staff, and I was excited to work with him because he was a former Lobo, and I remember how good he was as a player. And then I got the news that Jon Writt was coming to staff, and I was a freshman when you were a senior. So, all of that, like, I'm coming into high school, and I'm just like how I see these kids are, man. I was one of them. Like, we worship the varsity's feet. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like, you being an upperclassman, me being a freshman at that time, and me getting to be on that playoff run and being a part of those 4 rounds and watching. I'll never forget watching us play South Garland. With South Garland, last time we looked at them, they had beat us in 2005. Right. And so it was a revenge game. And I just remember you coming down, smashing cats down, at the line and that kind of shit as a freshman, trying to get a heater, trying to, steal it from a varsity guy. As soon as he moved, I'm getting over there by that heater because I'm cold as a bitch because it was one of the coldest nights of all time. Just like those memories are the first thing. Those were the things that I, resonated with when I heard Jon Writt. And so, like, I was like, man, he was always clean. I said he was crumping in the breezeway. He was cool. They made that video that went around school with his crumping. And now it's a laugh because it's fucking hilarious at this point. But, like, those memories, and that's what, and that's what I remembered about you guys. And Book being, with my sister in that class. And, so just the thoughts that I had. I was so excited to be a part of that staff and be a part of, just to be a part of Longview football, man. That was a really good time in my life when I first got hired on, man. That was just really exciting, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing, even though I was always a good coach. That's one thing I'll say about myself. Like, I always tried to do the best that I could, and I always had an idea about what I was doing. I obviously, wasn't what I am today, but, I was never a bad coach. Because I've seen some. But, just like that was just a very exciting time in my life, man. Graduated that year, and now I get to work with some of the guys that that I used to really think really highly of because y'all were really good players, man. And so with you and Book, and so that was a very exciting time in my life. Mm-hmm. So just to talk about that 2015 year, I want to kind of steer the conversation to your family. You've talked about Monica a lot, and at that time your girlfriend. Which, was just crazy that I've got to see the development of this thing from when y'all came post-college to where y'all are now. And me and you have had some good times. We've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of everything, you know what I mean? With each other in our own personal lives. Take the time to talk about your family. You didn't have a son when last time we talked. And now you've got 2 incredibly intelligent, beautiful young kids running around here that I think the world of. And you and your family is growing, y'all blossoming, y'all the Longview Cosbys in my eyes. Like I see y'all and I'm like, man, this is really cool and incredible. And not necessarily, you talked about your background and where you came from on the last podcast, and so you don't have to get into that because if they want to hear that, go back and listen to it. Yeah. But just how important it is for you to be a father. And I gave credit to Addison McGee on Facebook maybe last week about the job that he's done with his son and how much he's poured into him. You share your videos of your son in t-ball and soccer and just being excellent. And I get to come around and see just how intelligent these kids are and just, you can really tell the impact that daddy has when they you know, how much they love you and how much they cringe to you, and just all that's really cool to see that, you know, a lot of people aren't allowed the opportunity to see because they're not that close. So I can speak to you to the testament of it. So I know how important it is to you to be, you know, dad, and how important it is to you to be a husband and to represent your, represent your wife in a present and a correct way. So, you know, all of those things, you know, you get a chance to, you know, I get a chance to see it because me and you are so tight. But, you know, speak to these people how important family is and how important being a dad is and how important being a husband is to you. And, you know, just in that development, because, you know, you weren't those things. So, I mean, you were married, but you weren't those things, you know, when we talked last.
No, it's crazy. That's all crazy, man. And, you know, shout out to my wife, Monica. She's a champ, man. And, you know, I love her to death. And I don't, you know, I'm not a put my business on social media kind of guy or anything of that nature. You know, you may see this or that, but it's never going to be a everyday thing or every week thing that you're going to hear from me. But I say that to say this: my wife, she don't get enough credit for, you know, the mother that she is. Man, she's a great mother, and the reason why she's such a great mother is because, you know, she was raised by a great mother, and she comes from a 2-parent home. Monica, you know, she takes pride in being a wife and being a mother. And, you know, being a coach's wife, she has to, you know, she has to do a lot of stuff on her own. And, you know, in football season, you know, I'm getting home after 8 o'clock, you know, most nights. Sometimes, you know, on game days, it's later than that. So, you know, she's the one that was having to take the kids to school most days and pick them up. And, you know, it's me whenever I can, whenever I can sneak off or whenever I can take them in the morning if we don't have a meeting or something of that nature. But, you know, she don't get enough credit for what she does as a mother. You know, like I said, you know, she comes home, you know, whether it's taking the Jace to practice. You know, during football season, Jace played flag football, and, you know, I'm at practice. You know, I want to get updates and videos. She has him and Jaden, and she has to pick him up from daycare, get him ready, have shoes ready, clothes ready, wash clothes. You know, now that he's playing baseball and t-ball, you know, she's having to do all those things too. So, you know, along with, you know, have dinner ready. You know, Jace is, you know, he has some homework now. So, you know, then on top of that, make sure that her husband is still, you know, happy and all of that. So, so Monica don't get near enough praise for, you know, her value as a mother and as a wife. And, you know, I love her and appreciate her for everything that she does. But, you know, you talk about my kids, man. You know, you go back to 2018, and, you know, me, I had cousins growing up, so I kind of knew, like, how to change diapers and stuff like that. But you know what you know, and you don't get to experience a lot of stuff until you get to experience it.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, one thing that I did get to, you know, every kid that I've coached, you know, we've had a good relationship. You know, a lot of them were most of them were like sons to me. And I kind of got to, you know, be a dad to other people's kids before I got to be a dad to my own. Or, you know, a big brother, you know, however they saw me. But, and, you know, just a role model, period. So, you know, to get to have my own kids, you know, I always want to have kids. And, you know, us men, we try to say, you know, whenever that first baby's on the way, you try to say that, you know, you don't want a boy, but you really want a boy.
Yeah.
And to me, I kind of took the approach of, I didn't even play around when I was like, God, I want a boy, please, basically with it. Like, it'll be, you know, one of the greatest gifts that I've ever received. And
me, I just totally backwards. I wanted a girl. I wanted a girl because I wanted a chance to learn how to do it first without it being totally on me. Like, if you got a girl, it's kind of on the mama. Yeah. Like, let me learn how to do this real quick. That's an interesting take. I kind of don't want the pressure of being the parent when it comes. And I love my son totally. I don't think I really get to talk about him a lot either. So I won't, but it ain't about me. But just as, you know, I wanted a girl. I wanted to learn how to do the shit first before it was totally on me.
No doubt.
But that's different.
But yeah, you know, 18, you know, we found out, and I remember my grandma, you know, 2018 was a special year for a lot of reasons. You know, one, my grandma died. It's my baby. Anybody know me, you know, my relationship with my grandma, like it was golden to me. Like, she holds a special place in my heart. You know, we lived with her growing up, so that's my baby. But I remember she was one of the first people that me and Monica told, because my grandma, she didn't like a lot of people, but she loved Monica, man. She did. Like, every time we go over there, Monica would always go straight to my grandma's room and they talk and joke. And I remember we told my grandma, and she was like, "Well, come on, baby, like, cause grandma ain't gonna live." And she said it one day. I remember that kind of hurt my heart, and she literally died like a month later.
Yeah.
But fast forward to 2018, we ended up having Jace in September that year, and then we won a state championship. And I know Coach King's wife, Jody, she always she still to this day calls Jace champ because he was born the year that we won a state championship. You know, she used to always say it was because of Jace. So he's champ in her eyes. But you know, you have Jace, and you know, I get to experience fatherhood from a first hand point of view. You know, you get to see him grow in the belly. You know, you get to play the music for him. You get to talk to him. You get to feel him kick. You're there on the day he was born, and you know, you just see him grow from a fetus into this 4-year-old that he
crazy,
is today.
It's absolutely insane, it's that whole process, man.
And you know, being for me first, you know, you want your kid to be smart, you know, and you know, you do all these things to try to help them. And you know, I realized early on that Jace is, I'm trying to put my kid on the pedestal, but he was different. You know, I didn't want to see Jace over the past few years. You know, he's a little different, man. The dude is super intelligent. And you know me, I'm just making sure, you know, you want your kid to be tough. You know, you want them to be smart. You want them to be spoiled. I mean, you don't want them to be spoiled. And then you know, you want them to be competitive and good in sports because I'm a coach. I don't want to be the coach with the sorry kid. I mean, I'm not gonna,
for real.
I'm not gonna even put that.
That's
out
a
there.
pressure.
Like I don't want that.
That's a real life pressure.
And I know that he has natural athleticism because you know, I feel like I have good genes, and then his mom played sports in college as well. So you know, you want all those things for your kids. So you know, just from a father's point of view, you know, you try to do everything to make sure those things are evident. You know, you try to read to them. You know, you teach them things. You know, you're still hard on them. You know, you hold them accountable. You know, even at this age, and you know, you try to teach them the foundation early. So you know, kind of the same thing that my mom did for me. So that you know, whenever he gets a little older, that he knows what's expected of him. You know, he's not, you know, one of those kids that, you know, that's being disrespectful to adults. So you want them to be the model citizen, and I think that those things are evident with the way that you parent them. So that's kind of the father that I try to be to my son. But you fast forward 2 years later, and we get pregnant again, and you know, we was trying again, and at this time, like Monica got off her birth control, and we was literally pregnant a month later. But you know, we kind of talk about the gender thing again. I remember, you know, I approached it the same way. I said, God, you know, I said, I want another boy, man. I want Jace to be a big brother. And I think that'll be a fun dynamic to watch. And I remember me and Monica, we were planning on having a gender reveal, and we ordered the stuff for it. And I remember we got the doctor called her and said it was ready. So we went and picked it up. So me and Monica, we pulled the Sam's because we had to go grocery shopping. We sit in the car, and she got it in her hand. And the gender reveal is like this Saturday, and it's like a Tuesday. And I'm like, all right, let's open this. Yeah. She's like, I can't wait either. I'm like, because you know, Monica, if you know Monica, she has anxiety anyway. No, so we open it, and it's a boy, and I'm like super lit. So we can both get on the phone and call our parents to let them know. But it was cool. And so Jaden arrives, and you know, you get to watch that dynamic. You know,
totally different person.
Totally different person. if you've met these two, totally different persons. Jaden is spoiled, and he's bipolar. And, you know, he's still smart, but you know, he's different. And he's different from Jace, but you know, that's all fun to watch. But I will tell you one thing is that he loves his big brother, and he wants to do everything that Jace does. So it's really fun to watch, and it's fun to be those two dad. And, you know, I think one of the best parts, or the best part of my day is when I come home and, you know, they've been asking about me all day. And I walk, and I come in the house and they're, Daddy. And they both went up to me and they want their praise and their hugs and they want to play.
No doubt.
So, you know, those things are all super fun, man. And things that I enjoy and cherish. And I just couldn't even imagine, like, not even being able to come home to my kids every day. Like, that's like something that's I ain't gonna say it's pretty much non-negotiable.
No, for sure. No, for sure. On that standpoint, I understand what you mean completely. So you know, you've got this great family. Obviously, you know, you've done an outstanding job here at Longview. We've talked about your legacy. One of the things that I wanted to hit on before we get out, you know, was Coach King. You know, we both have a very high respect for Coach King. We both think that he's one of the most meticulous and one of the best football minds that, obviously we've ever been around, but not just what we've ever been around, but around the state of Texas. We both think very highly of how the program has been ran since he started. An insane 12-1 first year, you know what I'm saying, as you go through the years. But we both think very highly of his legacy. Both of us were ecstatic for him in 2018 to win the state championship. Obviously, you won it. I wasn't there. I was at Tatum. But both of us just ecstatic for King to finally have that ring to cement himself as one of those guys, because we both thought very highly of his career. So just, give us a quick spiel on Coach King, what you think of him as a coach and his legacy and just like what he's been to you as a boss for the last 8 years. Mm-hmm. And, as your head coach, that's another experience that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, so Coach King, man, in my eyes, he's the GOAT. Coach King's the GOAT, man. And, people may not agree with me for their own reasons, but I just know the experiences that I've had with him as a player and as a coach, he's the GOAT. And I'm interested, one thing about Coach King, I'm interested to see, how much of those Coach King qualities that are going to stick with me as I, transition into this next phase of my career. Because I know, because when you work for someone like King and how particular he is, with how much attention to detail that he pays and how organized that he is and how hard that he works and how that no job is too big for Coach King. And that's one thing that I admire about Coach King is that him being the head coach and AD, like some of the things that he does, like you won't see a lot of athletic director head coaches do. And it's because they don't necessarily have to, but like I said, no job is too big for Coach King, man. And I think that's just the old school blue collar in him that makes him that. But like I said, 2018, it was great for him. I'm glad he got to win him one. And championship, people don't realize how hard it is to win a championship. And a lot of great coaches go through the 30, 40 years coaching, being a head coach, just being a coach, period, and don't ever get a chance to win one. So for him to get one, and especially with his son, I was extremely happy for him. I'm grateful to have worked for someone like him. Coach King's one of those coaches that if one of your guys messes up, it's going to be on you, and it is. And we as position coaches, we want to celebrate the successes of our players and not do something good, but
we got to own when they mess it up too.
You got to own when they mess it up as well. And
he gonna make sure that they messed up.
and I appreciate that because it teaches you to be on your toes, not to be lackadaisical, and not to get comfortable. And working for someone like him and just kind of seeing the growth in King. For him to start come up from Louisiana, from his offensive coordinator, going to a head coach, someone that coached me. And then growing to what he was as a head coach and what he did for this program, like it's all super special. And I think one of the most special moments that I have about Coach King is that when we were at coaching school that year, and he got elected THACA president, man. And that's an honor, man. For you to be in a ballot, be on a ballot with two other coaches in the state, and for over 15,000 coaches to sit up and vote for you.
Man, just to be a part of that number that was stood up. When you got a chance to vote for him, and you stood up.
I've been in the election hall that day, and they said Coach King, and everybody stood up and like he won. Yeah. And it was right after the year that we won state, so it was just crazy. So that's the role that a lot of people probably wouldn't want to take up on, but I know being Coach King in that moment, it had to be special for him. And that's clout, man. For you to be the THACA president, that's an honor that not many will be able to ever say that they got to do. And I'm proud to be. It was being a position coach at the time. It was cool to be under coach like that. Yeah, that's my boss, man. That's my boss as the president.
Yeah.
We just won it. Yeah. And I think he was deserving and worthy of all those things.
I was walking around that bit like I was.
And then on top of that, I think he did a great job at it. And I'll always appreciate Coach King, man. Just the attention to detail he paid, in his program, from the way it's ran to calling home for kids, making sure every no stone is unturned in this program.
While we get a chance to I think this is okay to share. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than to have a kid that missed the day before and you didn't call home. If you want to talk about pressure, if you want to talk about tightness in your ass, you want to talk about, oh my God, I'm finna get the hulling of my life. Man, I've seen some of the worst hullings that ever come, and I'm not going to ever tell any other Lobo business, but I'm just saying, man, you do not want to be the guy that didn't call home after one of your kids missed.
No, but that just shows you know how.
But that speaks to the detail that he
exactly.
pays attention to his program, and I don't think he minds me sharing it.
And people are not going to realize how valuable Coach King is to this program until he's done. And I hate that I don't want to see that day, but I do want to see that day. You know, just
so he can get his due.
Just so he can get his credit from people who don't.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Who don't respect it and
Exactly.
who don't see the worth and the value and don't understand the type of and the amount that goes into a place in a program like this. And then what's crazy is that, you know, I stepped away in the 2018 year, and I told you and I told King I thought we were going to be state champs, and that's the only thing that's keeping me from, you know, not wanting to be a part of it. But, you know, getting a chance to come back and just witness a Longview football game with no ties, you know what I'm saying, just be on the sideline and just experience the atmosphere of a playoff game at Longview High School, and to see the lights of the stadium and how they shine onto the field. And then you get a chance to see the band, and if you get there early enough to watch them walk around the track, and you get a chance to see how we pregame, and it is an entire show. Yeah. And now that you got Lobo Game Day, which I think elevates the program and elevates the limelight on the kids and just gives everybody, just really elevates the program. But just the show that is a Lobo Friday night speaks to his work as an athletic director and how he's elevated the program since when he started in 2004, when the turf was raggedy, where the lights were dim, where, you know, the seating wasn't the way that it was now. And I know a lot of people complain about the seating, but just the money that it brings in by selling tickets that way, and just how much he has elevated this program to the stature that it is, to being one of those top flight programs of Texas, which means it's a top flight program of America. He deserves all of the credit for that. And you know, no matter what you think of what has happened over the course of his career, you have to give respect to where this program is and how it is seen and how it is viewed nationally by the players that have been put out all across the nation, to the amount of NFL players. When you talk about what we have done in this program and what he has accomplished since 2004, you know, all hats off. And, you know, just I'm glad we have an opportunity to say this thing publicly to the people who need to hear it. Like this ain't no joke. This ain't because of Southside. While we are who we are, and while Southside, and I do have respect for Southside and what it brought up and what it grew up as us as players, but it ain't because of that.
All right.
It's because of the work that he put in.
And you think about like
from 6th grade on, from 7th grade on.
Right. You think about all the things that we do as a program that King brought to this program, that you end up getting guys that when they came into high school, you didn't know how good they were, but as a senior, they were studs.
Incredible.
They're program guys because we schedule big games and we pay attention to our underclassmen get coached on. And you know how many times we've coached on underclassmen games, and you can tell that those guys hadn't a lot of coaches.
Hadn't been
going on with those guys, but that's never the case with our guys, and that's the reason why our underlevels are always so successful. When it comes to their records, and those are all things that, you know, Coach King,
which builds to the program. Like, okay, I'm on JV, but we killing. Okay, but I'm playing. I'm having an opportunity to be in the game.
Exactly. You
see so many young guys and underclassmen moved up to varsity to just sit there,
right?
And they don't have a great experience, and that's one of the things that while we have program kids that do great things with just the 1 year that they get on varsity because of how the program is. So hats off to John King and what he's done. I just wanted to talk about his legacy. And then let's get into some messy shit. Let's talk about your top 5. Top 5 guys that you have coached at Longview High School at receiver. Rick's top 5. I don't need 6 names. I don't want to hear 7 names. I want you to name 5. I want you to get into this list shit because people kill me because I don't have enough people on the list, and I didn't mention so and so. But 5 is 5.
Yeah.
So here we go.
I got a top 5.
Ritt's top
you want me to go
5.
5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
I need the climax, son. You got to build it up. Let's go 5 to 1. Let's do this thing.
All right, so 5 I'd have to say Darius Carter. AC, man.
Number 94 on the top.
And had he been a receiver for 4 years, like it would have been, it would be crazy to watch that because AC, honestly, I mean, he couldn't. If you watched him, he couldn't run routes, but he was just a dog, man. You know, he had a natural set of hands, some big old hands, and he just kind of approached the game like he was better than everyone. So 700 yards, and I don't remember how many touchdowns. He scored a lot of rushing touchdowns that year too because we had the Dirty Bird package. But as a receiver, he made plays as well. You know, he moused people. You know, he made big plays. He caught passes and
highly competitive. The most competitive receiver I think you've had from a practice standpoint. From taking, he was so emotional in practice. Oh my god,
in the game too,
so bad. But just in practice on a regular Tuesday playoff night, where it's like, damn, AC, don't nobody care that much, man. Do we really care that much? Yeah. But he would be so mad if he didn't win in one-on-ones or something like that. Nice. He was really, to me, the most emotional, competitive player that I saw under your reign. But just to speak on AC.
Yeah, so AC, that's definitely him. It was funny you said that because I remember we come on Mondays, I'm coming in giving the scouting report on the DBs, and AC always, he trash, he can't hold me. Like everybody was trash, and it was just funny. But I'd say 5 AC, man, and he possibly could be high on the list. Had he played receiver for more than 1 year, but to even come in at 5 and only playing really full-time receiver for like the last 10 games or so. It's still highly thought of. 4, I got to go with Kamden Kirby. Kirby was, got moved up late his sophomore year. Played most of his sophomore year on JV, ended up getting moved up late for various reasons. And, his junior year was the highlight of his career. He was complimenting Kamden. And he had about 700 yards, scored about 4 touchdowns. I expected him to have a bigger senior year, I thought he was going to be. He should have. I expected him to be the wide receiver 1 that year, but that wasn't the case. If you got to watch that year, he kind of had a slump, to be honest. Wasn't the same Kirby as he was as his junior. I feel like he had grew in every aspect. Like he had became a better route runner. He was stronger. And if you ever watch Kirby, he plays like a dog. Like if he's trying to block you, like he is going to try to maul you. And one underrated aspect of Kirby's game was, one underestimated aspect of Kirby's game was that he was a really smart route runner, and that's why he wasn't the fastest guy, but he would always get open. But ended up having a senior slump and didn't do as much as he should have, so that's why he's coming in number 4. Number 3, we gotta go with Caius Moore, man, Bottle Rocket. Coach King gave him that nickname when he was a junior, and the reason why is because when that ball was snapped, it looks like Caius is shot out of a rocket. He got a rocket in his ass. But a guy that he's Coach Writt trained, man. He didn't know how to run a route. I always had good tools, but he just came up under me, man, and ended up blossoming into a really good receiver. Junior, he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns, had about 280 yards. Made some big plays for us, even in clutch moments. Biggest play of the state championship game. Yeah, no doubt. Caught that post. He also caught a deep post against Prosper that year in the second round. But as a senior, he ended up. Caius had about 900 yards, right into 900 yards receiving, and had a really good senior. Ended up being Haynes' wide receiver 1 this senior year. Like I said, I expected that to be Kirby, but knowing Caius was still going to make plays, and so I have to say Caius is number 3, man. Really good route runner, really fast, a good set of hands, and can make something happen. Whenever he does it. I don't know if you remember that first round game we played against Temple. Yeah. And Caius made some big plays. So then you get to number 2. I gotta say Kamden Perry. Woo! Now, if I had to compare just catching hands, natural hands, every down to down hands, Kamden has the best hands out of any receiver I've coached, and any receiver that came through this program, to be honest. I got videos on my phone of Kamden in the turf, and I'm throwing the balls, and he would literally catch one hands like 10 times in a row, just snatch somebody like you would think his hands had like magnets on them or something of that nature. But you know what Kamden did. He broke every receiver record that we had at this program. Whether it was record or whether it was a season record or a career record, he literally rewrote every receiver record book. Every receiver record in the record book that we had. And of course, that leaves you with number one. The best receiver that I've coached and the best receiver to come to this program is none other than Jaylen Hill. And you know, I think the big difference between him and Kamden is that Jaylen was genetically gifted. Kamden wasn't genetically gifted. You know, he was, like I said, he was average height, you know, average speed. He was strong, but you know, those are the things that separates him and Jaylen. You know, Jaylen was a kind of a genetic freak. You know, he looks like you see him, like you see every muscle in his body, and then on top of that, you know, he can make freakish plays. And Jaylen ended up breaking some of Kamden's records. You know, I think he broke most touchdowns in a career, most yards in a career. But he didn't break those single season records that Kamden put up that year with the 87 catches, 1,864 yards, and 18 touchdowns. But Jaylen, you know, also he's the only receiver in history with 2,000-yard receiving yards, and on top of that, you know, he scored the most touchdowns. So that's my top five, man.
Damn. Such a top five. I can't wait to hear the reaction to it. Hopefully people murder you like they murdered me. No, I'm just kidding, man.
I mean, that's from the horse's mouth, man. These are guys I coach day in and day out. These are guys I've seen day in and day out. These are guys I watched every single game of their career. Yeah. And it's coming from a non-biased standpoint because, you know, all my kids, I love all my kids, man. I keep in contact with a good amount of my kids. You know, we just have those. We just form that bond. And I'm always interested in how they're doing after high school. And, you know, I'm still constantly checking in on them to make sure that they're at least, you know, coming into the young men that I always preach to them. So we still keep in contact, man. That's the top five, Coach Writt, unbiased standpoint.
There we go, top five. You heard it from Writt. I don't want to hear from nobody else. Obviously, that's not in school history. You know, a lot of people would be interested in hearing the top five in school history, but you know, we'll save it for another time whenever we get a chance to come back and do a part 3. We said we were going to talk 45 minutes, and obviously we went well over that. But I think it's been a good conversation. I think you deserved it, man. I think you did an incredible job here. I think you elevated the program. You elevated the status of the receiver. You got to be a part of that evolution of football in itself with the RPO, and you got a chance to coach two of the most fantastic players that have ever come through Longview High School, and not a lot, maybe 90 to 95% of what they learned and how they developed was because of you, because they didn't have special trainers. Those guys, you know, learned under the tutelage of you, and really elevated what a position coach can do, what a position coach should do. At Longview High School under John King, one of the best position coaches that he's had. And, you know, I can say that, you know, with total confidence, being a guy that played for him, that saw all of the coaches, and you're one of those guys, man. And not surprised that you got an opportunity like this. When you guys do numbers at Yates next year, it's not going to surprise me at all. You've come from great tutelage, and you've been a great student. You've been humble in the process, and it's gonna pay off for you. I think the most of you. I think the most of the opportunities you're getting to have. Can't wait to see you blossom. Can't wait to be your OC whenever you get that head coaching job. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to lobby in for it as hard as I can anyway. Mm-hmm. But you know, just an outstanding job that you've done here over the past 8 years. Just the growth of you as a man. You know, from the single guy to the married guy to the family guy, man, it's been a great ride that you've had in this first part of your career, and it's cool to get to see you elevate and get to do things that's different in a different city, different environment, with not having that pressure of having to do what somebody else wants you to do, what you want to do. You know, I'm excited for all of it, to see all of it, and you know, I think the world of you. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to express, you know, what Longview was to you and means to you and is to you, and the experience that you had here, and just, you know, all flowers to you. A hell of a job that you've done here, and I can't wait to see you blossom in other places and continue to elevate in your career. So just a heartfelt thank you from me as a Lobo guy, as a friend, as a bro. It's been an enjoyable ride, and I'm glad that we got a chance to put this out here in public for people to see, just how deep this program is to us, and what this experience has been, what this friendship and what this partnership as co-workers has been, because that's been the most fun part, I think, for sure. So hats off to you. Final words go to you before we wrap this thing up. Anything that you want to get off on your chest right now is your opportunity.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, man. It was good to get back on the pod and talk a little bit. Like I said, it's been a few years since I've been on here. A lot of things have changed. I'm definitely excited about this next chapter in my life. It's been something that I've been looking to do for a few years now. And I've had opportunities that at the time or the place weren't necessarily that I felt like it was right for me, but I feel like the time is now. Like I said, I'm excited for this new role. Excited to venture off and take the things that I've learned here and apply them in more of a leadership role. I'll always bleed green. I'll always be a Lobo. I'm sure I'll get a chance sometime next year to come to a game. I'll be there right with you guys, and I'll definitely be checking in every Friday, looking at the scores.
No, for sure.
But I'm excited about what I think I can bring to Jack Yates and what we can do there, and we coming. Us versus us.
No doubt. And one more thing. We've always talked about it. We talked about it in 2018. There was a conversation where we once had, is it, do you want to be great or you want to be comfortable? And I remember that conversation in your garage. As a matter of fact, I think a Drake tape dropped that night. Which I don't know if that was the same night. Maybe it was around there. Hey, but I think anywho, an opportunity that came up to go to Jefferson and be the offensive coordinator there. And me, I had already left, so I'm like, go, leave. You know what I'm saying? Go be great. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing else here for you. This is your max. This is what you can do here. And I just remember, us having a conversation about, if you want to be great, sometimes you have to leave what's comfortable to you. And I'm glad that it's time for you to go be great and leave the comfort of home, leave the comfort of what you've always known, and just time to go blossom. And I just wanted to say that. I know I wanted to say that one time. I know we talked about that pre-pod, but I wanted to get that out there one time. We've had this conversation before, but now you've waited for the right time and God's time and family's time, and you're doing the best thing for you. So hats off to you. Anything else you want to say?
No, man, you hit it, man. I definitely remember that conversation, and that's just kind of what it boils down to. You want to be great, or you want to be comfortable.
Yeah, and like that, we out.